Thank you. Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of Tech Reviews Nope. And today I am going to be doing the 25th Android tutorial. And as far as this one goes, we're going to be getting into something that's probably going to turn off a lot of people, but it's necessary since we're making a weather application. And in the workplace, that's what a lot of places are going to is RESTful systems. So as far as that goes, you need to know on a basic, and we're not talking about advanced by any stretch of the imagination, so you don't need a CCNA or CCNP or anything like that. And I do have videos that touch into that CCNA and CCNP, but basically you're going to need to know networking to a small degree. By networking, I mean why is something nature to be port 80 and things of this nature you don't really need to know, but you're going to need to know CRUD, HTTP CRUD, and also you're going to need to know URI, URL type of thing. And Android URL, think of this, when you see URL on Android, it's going to be called URI. Just in a nutshell, just do that and you'll be set. But and I'll get more into the URI later on because there's multiple things you can do with URI. But what you need to know is the CRUD, and that's very, very important. CRUD. Create, retrieve, update, and delete. So these are the primary things you're going to be dealing with on a net-based system. So for example, create. I have a profile, say here on Tech Reviews and Help, and I want to add something, or if I want to make a profile through the application. Create. Retrieve. I want to check out a YouTube video. It has to retrieve the video. Update. So Facebook is a pretty good example of this, and also Twitter. Your Twitter feed or your Facebook feed updates because you want the thing to automatically, well, you want the thing to update when you look at it automatically or not. You want the thing to update. Same thing with this weather thing. We want the weather to update every so often. And delete. So let's say that I don't want this given video to show on the site. Delete and get rid of it. So same thing with profiles and stuff of this nature. It's a very simple concept, and that's what you really need to know. Thankfully, you don't need to know sockets or this other stuff, exactly how a package is made, the 7 layers of the OSI, or anything like that. And by the way, I have videos on that. It's very interesting stuff to a certain degree, but it could be overkill. In fact, it is overkill when you're talking about this type of coding. Now, one thing I will tell you, because it is pretty important to note this, I know a lot of people might be looking at starting Android as their first primary device that they're going to code for. And it's probably going to be in school if this is not being watched in school right now. Well, I know a lot of you will probably move on to other devices or move on to other things, which is fine. And you always need to be looking at the horizon, especially if you're going to do this in a career. But the one thing to note is some devices and some conditions you're going to need to know the CCNA, CCNP type of thing. So say, for example, if I'm making a Netgear router, if I'm going to deal with Cisco switches and routing and firewalls, then I'm not talking about configuring them. I'm talking about making them, making the software side of things. I'm going to need to know that stuff. I'm going to need to know the CCNA, CCNP, and maybe even things more advanced than that to a extreme degree. So I'm going to need to know that type of stuff. It's very important to know that some things you deal with, you're going to need it. Now, on a general case by case, on a general basis, on case by case, it's different. But in general terms, what you have is you're only going to get, say, for example, maybe with a website, you're going to get what is the newest post or minor things like that. You're not going to need to know how the information is transported from one device to the internet, routers, switches, whatever, to the web server and back. Generally, you don't need to know that, but it is worthwhile noting that as you move through in your careers, if you choose to do this in your careers, you may need to know some of this stuff and need to pick it up. Now, it's not going to blindside you, so not scare anyone. It's not going to blindside you if you don't know this stuff. Basically, when you apply for a job, it will be up front. And that's a big thing to note. But anyways, by the way, if you are going to go into networking, talking to Cisco himself, the people who's hiring, this is not a joke, the other week. In fact, I started a Python thing from that. Is they're saying that in 5 years, more or less, you're going to need to know coding, even if you're going into networking. So it's pretty important to note that. And especially if you're doing coding full time and want to do full time like myself, well, it means more competition. So that's also a big thing to note. But anyways, with that one in mind, so don't overload you, let's end it here. And subscribe, like, and share. And I'll see you in the next video. I hope you have a great day. Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechFuse Nope, and today we are doing another Android tutorial, and in this one we're going to talk about research and libraries. So as far as this goes, I want to get into something real quick. This is a very important video for those who are newcomers into development and coding and whatever. If you're already into coding, you probably could skip this. And I just want to say this before I do the thing I do talking about the last video, next video. But that's very, very important because 90%, and obviously this is not a correct statement, but 90% of what you'll be doing on a coder, a programmer, depending on which one you want to be called, is research. In fact, networking the same way is research, security, so ethical hacking, research. It is a huge part of your job, and you need to know how to research things, especially things on Google, Bing, whatever search engine you use. I don't care. But the fact of the matter is you need to be comfortable with using search engines because you're going to be using them a lot. So with this one in mind, let's do the thing and say, if you haven't seen the previous videos, then check out a card towards the top. And if you want to skip ahead, again, if you are already in coding, you know this stuff that I'm going to talk about. So there's no reason for you to sit through this. But if you hadn't seen this, or if you're new to coding, then I suggest sticking around. Otherwise, go to the card to the top, and that should take you to the next video. If that card isn't there, then that video is probably not out. Keep in mind these videos come out once or twice a week, depending on my schedule. So as far as that goes, let's jump into there. So HTTP libraries. The libraries dealing with Android is fine, and stuff that comes from Google tends to be fine. But a lot of things can be painful, and there's a lot of third-party stuff out there. A lot of, in fact, I can name about at least 40 or 50 things just off the top of my head after playing with Android stuff for several years now. I can tell you that there's a ton of libraries, third-party libraries out there, because there's a huge section, a few sections actually, out of Android that is painful to deal with. So HTTP is one of them. Now, without going into all the stuff, one way to figure it out is, if you're not familiar with the whatever you're dealing with, in this case we're dealing with internet, so it's HTTP. If you're not familiar with this dealing with Android, one of the best places to look is the developer's website for Android. And what you're going to find is there's a lot of things out there that is 2011, 2012, so around that time frame. And that's could be a huge problem because it's old and things can be updated fairly quickly. So that's a big thing to keep in mind. Now, as far as that goes, the best way to search for something like this is know what you want to search for. Just put Android HTTP library and or whatever you want for the library, and there you go. Now, instead of taking the first one that comes up, what you need to do is, first off, look at the dates. On some of these, you're going to see dates. Look at that, and I'll tell you when it's last updated. Some search engines have this. Google has it. Now, with this, say for example, like right here, 2013, that's not good for me, and I need something newer. And that's a big thing to keep in mind. Now, if you're not sure about something, the best way to do it is to do a versus. So let's copy this first one right here, put it in here, do a verse, and if you do a verse, you can see that retrofits, volley, and OK HTTP is competitors. So let's check out them. I got this one, OK HTTP, and the biggest thing to keep in mind is where's the information? Is it on GitHub or some other place? If it's on GitHub, it's easier to see, it's easier to find all the stuff, and it's open source. Now, is it safe for you to use? Okay, it's open source, but can you legally use it? What you need to do is go all the way down to a lot of these. It's going to be on different places, but you're looking for the license. And the license will tell you it's okay to use based on yada yada yada. It's okay to use at any time. It's okay to use only for personal use, but not business, so you can't make money on it. It's okay to use whatever for entertainment, but not for educational. That's just a few examples which you might run across. Obviously, the last one's the less of a chance, but still, it should get the idea. And just check out the licenses and go through it. So you're going to need to know a little contract law, not like a huge amount, just a little bit to see. Okay, is it okay for business use? Is there any legal liability on me if I use it for business use? And if it says no, then use it. And that's how you can actually figure out which library to go with. Now, what is the chances of them going after you if you did use a product that, say, is personal use only, business has to pay excess amount? Well, the chances of them going after you, it depends on the company, how successful your stuff is, and if it gets out that you're actually making money based on something that you should have paid for. And you can have them to pay quite dearly for it. I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs with that, but it can get very nasty very quick. The more money you make, the more of a chance they're going to get hit with it. So that's a huge thing to keep in mind. And even if you don't make any money, like you make $1, you can be legally liable for paying them a whole huge amount based on whatever they choose to sue you for, because you have to pay for their lawyers and all the other stupid crap. So that's a big thing to keep in mind, is look at the licenses, do your research, and it could be a grog, but it will save you a lot of money at the end. It'll save you and your company a lot of money at the end. And yeah. But anyways, as far as that goes, we're going to be looking into this a little bit more. But as far as that goes, if you got any questions or anything else, then let me know in the comment section, and I'll try to answer as quickly as possible. Also, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and share. And I'll check you out in the next video. I hope you have a great day. Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett, and I'm the founder and owner of TechViews Nope. And today, I am going to get into another Android tutorial video. In this one, we're going to talk about how to add OK HTTP or any library into your Gradle. Now, as far as things goes, this may be different depending on the setup and everything, but for the most part, we're going to look at some basic things that will apply across the board. So if you hadn't seen the previous video, which gets into research, how do we find this in the first place? Well, feel free to check out that. The card to that will be towards the top. But if you know how to do this and you just want to skip ahead, then feel free to do that and click the card at the top. Now, as far as this goes, OK HTTP, pretty sure that you follow me through, hopefully, in getting here. So what we need to do is go to their website. So just click that, go to their website. And what we're looking for is support, and basically what is the minimum requirements. So with here, okay, HTTP supports Android 2.3 and above, and our application we're making is 4.0, so we don't have a problem with that. And we change that if we need to. And for Java, you need to have 1.7 or above. How do you check the Java? Well, depending on your thing, on if you're using OS X like terminal or whatever, go to that. And what you want to do is figure out the command to pull up the Java version. But for command prompt Windows, it's Java space -- version. And what you're looking for is this 1 point, what is that number? And for me it's 8, so it's higher than 7, so it's good. Basically, this stuff to the right of it, we don't really care one way or another. We're just caring about this 1 point and whatever that number is. If it says 1.6, we need to update Java in order to use this. If it says 1.7, we're good. If we're saying 1 billion, then we're good. Again, it needs to be 1.7 or more. So from here, what we need to do is, now that we declared that our application is good, like we can use this, what we need to do is copy this into the Gradle. So to do this, what we need to do, if I can find it, is go to our application and go to the Gradle. Now what you want to do is go to your build Gradle. So you have 2 of them. One's a module and one's for the app. And what we need to do is go to the module. For the actual app, it looks like this. So in case you're just wondering, feel free to check out all this stuff. It's there for you. But what we're doing is the module, so it will say module next to it. And what we need to do is go down to the dependencies, click enter, copy or paste that in, and click the sync now. So while this syncs up, let me explain a few things that's going on here. So if you need to change your SDK versions, here it is, version code, and we'll get more into this, what you're seeing, in a later video when we're talking about uploading your application to Google Play. But this is pretty important. So if I got an application on Google Play, then the Play Store, then I will need to make that a 2 or anything higher than whatever current is. And this could be whatever. And we'll get more into this. So it's good to know where for now. But for the most part, we're just concerned with this. So dependencies is dependencies on things outside. So right here, we are trying to pull up this in order to compile our code against it. So now, as far as the next video, in fact, so I don't overload anyone, I'm just going to pretty much end it about here. But as far as the next video, and in between now and the next one, in case if you're watching it as these things are coming out, I want you to go down here and look at all this stuff, read it all, and try to get a good feel for it. It's a bit much for someone who's new to coding, but for the most part, we're going to get into a lot of this, and it's good to know. But anyways, as far as that goes, this has been Craig Bennett, founder and owner of TechViews Nope, and in this video, I showed you how to add the library into your Gradle. And if you have any questions or anything else on this video or anything else, then please feel free to leave that down below, and I'll try to get to it as quickly as possible. Leave a like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.